Yeah, hi, I'm Dr. ThomasTrautmann. I'm the founder of Happy Brains and the founder of the Ethical Persuader System and NeuroCouple System. And what I do is help you clients who cry, make me great, that you get in touch with them because elevating your clients is going to elevate your business. So I'm super happy to be on the online prosperity show. What we're going to talk about is the brain, how to use the brain to get more and how to trigger the decision maker in the brain.
Now, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your premier destination for exclusive insights into the minds that are shaping today's business landscape. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got a guest whose journey is as intriguing as it is inspiring. Now, Thomas, willkommen.
Vielen Dank.
Yes,
your audience is going to get scared. They're going to think that we don't do that in German.
Kein Sorgen. Und wie geht es dir, mein Freund?
Super great, thanks.
So, und was hast du heute gemacht?
Ja, der Tag fängt ja nur an, ja. Ich kümmere mich um die Kinder, die Frau und so weiter. Also es war schon ein ganz normaler Tag.
All right, now you've lost me there, Thomas. I thought I had you there for a minute, but obviously my German. Fantastic. And for those that are tuning in right now, thank you so much for choosing the Online Prosperity Show to be your source of new insights and information. And today, our host, our guest, Thomas, is, obviously, I want you to imagine having transitioned from being a person that was at the forefront of AI to now changing all of that, not necessarily, but now focusing on the mysteries of the human brain. So many people are doing the opposite, where they're leaving the fellow human brain and actually trying to figure out how to prompt AI, but Thomas has actually done the reverse, and he's actually kept his sense of humor intact. You know how difficult it is to prompt the AI and how dry ChatGPT seems to be, but we've been laughing behind the scenes, and I was brushing up on my German, and alles klar. But I'm really excited to have Thomas on the show because he embodies this unique blend. As founder of Happy Brains, he actually seamlessly merged neuroscience with ethical persuasion, and this helps businesses and individuals thrive. So in some of the things that I've discovered, not only does he like to ride fast on the autobahn, but he helps people get more, achieve more, and retain more in things that they do. And his work not only boosts profits, but also brings smiles, which is a true testament to the power of understanding the human mind. Now, Thomas, obviously I've already welcomed you to the show, but I must say, diving into artificial intelligence and all its intricacies, then changing to the human brain is quite a leap, even for a lot of people. So many people don't quite know how to make that transitions. Now, is it because you found human brains more challenging to decode than AI algorithms that you wanted a bigger challenge?
No, in fact, it's interesting because I had a reverse approach. I started my career as a computer diploma engineer, and I always loved that because when you read a program, when you write a program, when you develop something, you dive into the brain of someone else, because we all think differently. So that was the first step. AI is then another step to understand how the brain works. Now, it was 30 years ago or so when I did my PhD on AI. And in fact, at that stage, we refused, the branch I was part of refused to be called artificial intelligence. Because at that time, 30 years ago, artificial intelligence was about expert systems. And we, the guy from the artificial neural networks world, were thinking that expert systems were just crap, were not very evolved and so on. So we didn't call ourselves like that. We were the artificial neural networks because we use mathematical models that somehow copied, emulated what some parts of the brain were doing. And now it's funny because it's those artificial neural networks that run GPT stuff, So now it's artificial intelligence. That's pretty funny. So no, I mean, AI is super great. It's there to help us be. I think, from my perspective, that AI is going to help us have more human intelligence because it's helping you do things. I mean, human beings have always tried to create machines and so on to replace them for boring tasks, And when you expand your business, when you want to be seen on social networks, one of the most painful things to do, and I think your audience will agree, is to create content. It's not boring as such because you have to create content, you have to figure out what's going to make your audience happy. But then you have to write it, then you have to record it, then you have to, and it's long. Now you just have to, you record a podcast, for example, then you transcribe it and you ask GPT, write me 5 articles out of it, write me X quotes and give me 5 more video scripts. Boom, done. But just needed to do it. And you said it, it's a bit dry. It doesn't have something. And I think that's not going to happen for a long time. I may be proven wrong, but emotions are such a pure human thing that it's so complex to create emotion. You can say, write in the style of Thomas, write in the style of Prosper, use Prosper's language to write the next article. And do that because it can understand the language you're using, but not who you are behind it. So yeah, those things work together. But when you come into the world of decision making and decision driving, which is what I help people to do, is you are facing a human brain. Decisions are made by human brains, I have clients who say, no, Thomas, we are talking to companies. I say, no, you're not talking to companies. A company is a sheet of paper with a name, a registration number, and something like that. A sheet of paper has never made any decision. The people underneath that sheet of paper are the decision makers. So it's still a human thing. And even when you use AI to write your content, what you expect is that the human brain is going to read it and make a decision to keep following you, maybe contacting you, buying something from you. So
absolutely. And thank you so much for enlightening us on that. But that just really puts me closer to thinking that the only people that really likes brains are zombies. And you don't strike me as one there, Thomas, so
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it, but at one time in my signature there was Dr. ThomasTrautmann, zombie, because I love brains.
Absolutely. But on a more serious note, I think your journey is really remarkable. I mean, you've earned a PhD in artificial intelligence, and also you're holding, you've held key marketing and sales roles in big giants like IBM and HP, which means you've actually seen the tech world evolve, and also now that you've ventured into the entrepreneurial side of things, you are now the leader of Happy Brains and things of that nature. Now, obviously, there's a lot to unpack here, and so that people can get to understand. But tell us, how did you get involved in all of this? What was the background to first of all, the AI stuff?
Well, it was an opportunity. When I started my career, I started at Robert Bosch as a project manager, running some manufacturing computers and stuff like that. And it wasn't the job that kept me most busy. And some other colleagues who were there already started again to do some more studying. They went into economics, into management, and I wasn't there at that point in my life yet. It was the beginning of my career. So I found something where I could get a master's in artificial intelligence and algorithmics. And so I did that. It was fun. And I really, really get hooked on AI. And then had the opportunity. I found a professor who wanted to work with me. Even the French government was happy to pay me, which was quite something at the time. So I get some money from the government to do that research. But my plan was always to add this as a brick into building a wall that was the basis to one day create my own company. That's something I had in my head forever. My dad was a CEO, so I think that's something that influenced me, you know? I mean, we are always influenced by many things in our lives, you know? And I think that was one thing that I wanted to do, maybe subconsciously, to prove him that I was worth as much worth as he was, because he was a self-made man, you know, was born during the Second World War and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to have that. And when I did my PhD, I didn't want to keep doing research. I wanted a PhD that was based on real data, real facts. So I found a topic that was inside of what was called an M.E.D.I.A project, which are European community funded research projects. So with some companies, and I even had the chance to present my last article before I got graduated in Australia, in Perth.
Wow.
That was super cool.
Fantastic.
Just for the fun, the lab where I was doing the research, we were a lot of scientists and so on. They had no more money to go attend to conferences that were 60 kilometers away. And because I was part of a Europe project, I could go to Australia.
Absolutely.
Some guys in the lab were really pissed at me.
I can
Anyway,
imagine. Yeah, because it allows you
yeah,
to see the world and explore. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So for 20 minutes of presentations, I spent 1 week funded by the European community in Australia. Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Australia is a beautiful place. Now,
Oh, yeah.
obviously, you did mention that your dad was a CEO of a company, and obviously, he was a successful person in his own right. Was there any expectation, whether implied or silent, for you to actually achieve, or in that time, to be a success?
No, I don't think there were. I think his expectations were that his boys became decent men, you know, and that we had a good life. That I think was really what he wanted us to do. I know he never understood what I was doing. My brother is a way more rational person. You know, he's also a computer engineer, but he's still working in computers in SAP stuff like that. You know, so he followed the trend that my dad could understand. Something my dad couldn't get is, why do you stop your career to do a PhD? I mean, you are trying to make good money and so on, and now you stop. And then a few years later, I completely stopped and started my own company with my wife. And at that time, I think he lost me. He didn't get it. What's going wrong in this guy's head, you know? So
Yeah.
I also did skydiving. I mean, I did many crazy things, but I think I have more that free spirit that my mom had. My mom was a very free spirit. So I think I got a mix of both, and it pushed and that may be something that's interesting for entrepreneurs, and that will be mentioned in my next book, is that you have a threshold of fear and craziness when it comes to your financial life, to everything in your life. And I have a very, very high fear thresholds. I'm not scared of a lot of things. I did skydiving. I was the first man in the world to jump with a wingsuit above the North Pole. Crazy stuff like that, you know? And I haven't done alpine skiing for ages. We went with my wife, and even though I had no idea how it's working, I was going down as fast as she was. So I don't know how to brake. I will figure it out later. So, which helps me being an entrepreneur, which helps me burn money sometimes in a very stupid way. So, yeah, you have to balance those thresholds, but that's how it's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I quite like that. And I can only imagine, as a young lad, you probably were experimenting with a lot of things and just trying to figure out how things worked. But my question now is, you were at the forefront of AI before we even knew it existed. And I was actually laughing 3 days ago when we were laughing at the first iterations of the mobile phone, and also maybe the first iteration of Adobe, and how things have changed and become different. What were some of the first iterations of AI that when we look at today, we would actually be like, oh my God, you call this artificial intelligence?
I couldn't tell you because when I left AI, I was more focused on marketing and sales on some products that were able to read somehow to make image recognition, facial recognition, stuff like that. AI, in fact, is a huge data cruncher. You have to get it that way. It's crunching data and finding patterns out of it. That's the way AI works. It's if you always show the same patterns, it will always give you the same feedback. It's you have to understand how it works to write nice prompts. And I see so many people who just say, "Oh, write me an article about Prosper." So, Prosper, because he found somewhere Prosper is maybe a clown, so he's going to write an article about the clown and not about you. But it's the data it learned. So you have to write the prompts in a way that it will spit out something that's valuable. So, and that's something people need to learn. We see so many people just, oh yeah, I have GPT on my phone. Yeah, let me ask. And then you have completely stupid answer. And you can see it. Sometimes it gets completely lost. It comes with a result. You say, no, it's wrong, mate. Do it again. And it comes with an even worse result. And it's locked, in fact. It went down into that funnel, towards a bad answer. So you have to say, okay, stop, close the session, open a new one, and do it again. It's like a human being. Once you learn something by heart, then it's in there and it may be wrong.
I can imagine, because when people started, experimenting with ChatGPT, all they could do is write me a song or make me sound like, a certain person that they know. But obviously, it hasn't gotten a large enough data spot for the type of thing that you're asking. So pretty cool. Now, you went on and worked with tech giants like IBM and HP, and all the other pioneers in the technology sort of
and even sector. AOL at the time, it meant something.
Yeah. So how did these experiences sort of influence your now approach to ethical persuasion, and especially in marketing?
I think what was interesting, the first big leap I did in marketing was when I left high tech, because high tech has this huge advantage. There is always a feature you can talk about, And before I really pay attention to what's happening in the brain with decisions and so on, I was like 97% of people, I was doing rational marketing. You talk about your features, what it brings, all those things, but it's wrong somewhere. But it's cool because you have the features. You can always find something to tell about, your new mobile phone or your, I don't know, whatever, But then I moved from high tech, so that my last high tech position was by America Online. When AOL was so big, they bought Time Warner at that time. So that was quite funny. And I even was the marketing guy in charge of the first email client. So now that you have emails on your smartphones, we did it with the Nokia and with the few keys, and you had to press to write your emails. So we created that first email client. So it was pretty cool. And then so I moved to Steelcase, and Steelcase is the world leader in office furniture. And they absolutely hated me because I was the only marketing guy who was saying it's a plank with 4 iron tubes. It's a desk, okay? There is nothing more to it. And said, no, Thomas, it's a concept. It's okay, stop the bullshit. It's a plank with 4 legs. But when you want to sell it and when you have to write a brochure, what feature are you talking about, the desk? It's a surface to put your papers on it. Maybe it has some casters because you are mobile worker or stuff like that. But then you're done. So you have to start. I started to learn that storytelling is important. You know? Telling stories is important. And that's when I met my wife, and we were crazy about motorcycle tours, and that's when we created our first company. And we created it talking about content as we were used to do in marketing. Features. So how many kilometers we're going to ride, what type of hotel we are going to visit, and all those things. And one day I was sitting at my desk, I was looking at my bank account, and I could see that there were no more that many clients coming in, you know? And I saw, luckily at that time, I saw one of the very first documentaries about neuromarketing. So the implementation of neuroscience to marketing. Found it interesting. And we tried it. We tried to change the content of our website and our blog and make it more about emotions, you know, sharing the emotions of riding a motorcycle in the French Alps, the emotion of riding a motorcycle along the coast in Corsica. And suddenly we had more clients. We increased the business by 400%. So that there is something here. There is something. And that's how I started paying way more attention to neuromarketing. So neuromarketing is using neuroscience to improve your marketing and sales. Got certified as a neuromarketing instructor by the first neuromarketing agency. Worked with them as a business partner for 6 years or so in Europe. And that's when something clicked, because I think the neuromarketing is great. It's about the human brain because it targets the human brain, but there's still something missing. In fact, I noticed each time I gave a workshop about neuromarketing, people were learning a lot on how to improve the marketing and the sales of the company. And it's really working. You have 2-digit growth when you use neuromarketing. But they were not getting something for themselves. In fact, neuromarketing, from my perspective, was missing humanity. So that's when I decided to create something above neuromarketing, which is the Ethical Persuader system, where in fact you learn first for yourself how you can get from people the decision you want while they make the decision they need. And then you can implement it inside your organization, your company, even your relationships. So that's the story.
I like that. I like that a lot. You see, you mentioned that you shifted from obviously the rational to the emotional, and that now led to over 400% increase in growth. That's a big transformation, because sometimes a lot of people think human beings actually think rationally instead of making emotional decisions and things of that nature. I would like us to maybe sit on that for a little bit, because so many people think to be logical, there has to be a, you know, like a step by step, but people actually make emotional decisions, and your results prove that
it's even worse than that. We don't make emotional decisions, we make primal decisions. Because it has been scientifically proven without any doubt that we know which part of the brain makes our decisions. It's called the primal brain. It's not the smart part, the rational part called the neocortex, okay? When you open the brain bucket, you see that wrinkly, pinky part. You know, when you look at zombie movies, that's the first thing they eat. That's the rational brain. The primal brain is, in fact, the one that makes a decision. We make a primal decision that we rationalize afterwards.
Right.
But think about it. The next time you go buy something, or maybe if you bought something recently, like a smartwatch, for example, I'm pretty sure that the following script fold out in your brain. It was, you know, it's a good decision, you know, no, really, because now I know when I get an email, you know, and I can see my heart rate, and I even know how many steps I worked today. So that's your brain rationalizing the decision it made, which is a primal decision. And the fact that we make primal decisions means that we need to trigger that primal brain when we want a decision. And that bloody thing is a survival tool. It stopped evolving something like 50,000, 100,000 years ago. So it's still running the same processes as our ancestors who were running naked in the caves and so on, you know, hunting big animals and so on. And that creates something called cognitive biases. Right. There have been more than 180 that have been identified, and that they drive our decisions every day. So we don't make smart decisions, we make survival decisions. You know, because I like to say that the unique selling proposition, the USP, the marketing message of the primal brain is it's better to be stupid and alive than smart and dead. That's a bit how it works, you know? The rational brain is all about being smart, you know? It doesn't care about being alive. It's out there somewhere, you know? But no, the primal brain is a bloody survival tool. And it cares about only one person, itself. So when you want to persuade someone, if you start talking about your products, your services, your brand, your company, yourself, you already lost the decision maker in the brain. And then the brain will ask you for rebate, free samples, more time. It will kill your resources because that's where it will default to.
But my question is, I mean, obviously, I'm not refuting what you're saying, but how is it easy for us to access that primal brain when I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning?
Yeah, that's another problem that you have here. No.
Is it just
to
me?
Access the primal? No, to access the primal brain, the easiest way is to talk to me, is to get my help. But in fact, you need to understand that the decision driver is called a subconscious frustration. We have many subconscious frustrations. In fact, the brain has been measured, it's you make, without even knowing it, something like 35,000 decisions per day. Whoa. And you're only conscious of 0.02 of them %. So you are aware of something like 70 decisions that you make in the day, while your brain makes so many decisions. It's absolutely nuts. So when you want to get one of the decisions to make that person in front of you one of your clients, you have to stop many processes that it's currently running so that it focuses on you. So the first decision you want to make, you want to get from them is that they maybe pay attention to what you are saying. And so you have to trigger that decision maker. You have to prove that you understand those subconscious frustrations. And the problem being is, as those frustrations are subconscious, they don't even know that they exist and cannot voice them out. But you have to pay attention. You have to think about it. You know? It's when you are, let's say, I mean, the two of us are very bad examples for what I'm going to say because of our hairstyle, right? But if you are trying to sell, people who are selling a shampoo, for example, they would say, oh, if you use a shampoo, you are going to have such lovely hair.
Right.
I don't give a shit about my hair. Well, I'm a bad example again. But the person thinking, yeah, okay, even if I clean it with water, it will still look good. But if you say the next party you are going to, everyone is going to look at you and is going to want to talk to you. That's very different, because I may have identified that the people who buy my shampoo are people who have an image problem, who have a reputation problem. So it's completely different. So that's a subconscious frustration. If I'm selling a software to someone, to a CIO, to a chief information officer inside a big company, again, technology, we talk about features. You can handle 10,000 customers. You can have so many fields of information. You can share with 5 employees, blah, blah, blah. That's very boring. But if I say, what if you could get home every evening at 5 and be with your kids and your wife? Yeah? What if you could stop divorcing? That's what you get if you start using this, and this. So I hit, first of all, the subconscious frustration, which has nothing to do with the business. It's all about the human being that makes the decision.
Now I see why you preface this with ethical, because it's literally...
Yeah, I say ethical because that's why I say you get the decision you want while they make the decision they need, because you help them remove that subconscious frustration. That's when it becomes ethical. If you're using persuasion, influence, manipulation, coercion methods, the brain will make a decision because it has to make a decision. But it will maybe make the decision just to get rid of you because you are so annoying, with your bloody features and so on. Yeah, I get it. Okay, go out. Because you are going to get rejected by those people. They may buy once, it's a one shot. But I'm sorry, people who don't like you or don't know you, you have a 5% chance to sell to them. People who know you, like you, want more from you, you have a 70% chance to get a decision from them that they want to buy and work with you. I'm a lazy guy. I prefer 70% versus 5.
Absolutely, because all the work has been done for you. Now, I subscribe to this statement and I live by it. Please let me know if I've been wrong and if it is ruining my marketing. I viscerally believe people don't buy features. They buy the future that your product and service is affording them.
The decision isn't made on the future because the primal brain has no idea the future exists. In fact, the primal brain lives in a 7 seconds window. What's before? It's gone. What's after? Doesn't even know it's existing. Future planification comes from your prefrontal cortex. It comes from the rational part of your brain and this part here. And by the way, that's the last part of the brain that develops in the human brain. It finishes its development around 20, 24 years of age. That's why you cannot ask a teenager to make long-term planification. They are not wired to do it. They still don't get it, Like, put that helmet on in case you fall from the bicycle. In case, no idea. Put the helmet on. It looks you cool. It makes you look cool, You are currently looking way better than your friends. Boom, you get it. But too. And when you want to test your marketing message, here's a very good exercise. The primal brain runs like a 2-year-old child. So try to persuade a 2-year-old child in 7 seconds to buy your product.
Well, I don't know if
without ending.
I know you came to Australia. I know you came to Perth, but have you seen the 3-year-olds in Australia and try to hold them and see if you can talk to them? But I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
And in China, and I can tell you when I ask my clients to do that, there is a blank on everyone's face. I never seen anyone saying, Thomas, piece of cake, I do it now. No, because then suddenly it's, oh, shit. Because the vocabulary you are using is super rational, high level, completely understandable by the brain.
I get it, Thomas. Just bring ice cream and sweets.
Exactly. And it's very funny when you use, okay, don't abuse, use children to do some experiments. The brain hates to make decisions. So here is something that your audience can also learn is that rationally, you want to offer as many options as possible. Rationally, you want to offer as much novelty as possible. The problem is the primal brain doesn't like novelty and doesn't like making decisions. Selecting 2 things among many is already a challenge. And when I give workshops, I use that video. I recorded one of my sons. He was 3 years old. I show him a box of candy. And I told him, you have to select 2 candies. It takes him 16 seconds to pick 2 candies. And you can see on the video, he didn't choose any of them. He just takes 2 because it's too much. The primal brain is facing a dilemma. It can't select the candies. So yeah.
Wow. So what you're saying is, let's say somebody's creating a landing page. If you present 3 different options or 3 buttons or 4 buttons right at the start, you've already lost that person. And that's the reason why most landing pages don't convert.
Yeah, exactly. It's you need this because this answers your subconscious frustration, period. I mean, it's like when you're selling a car. Dear sir, dear madam, this is the car that you want. Yeah, but we don't like blue. I mean, let's get it red. But I told you what car you need. Huh? I listen to you. I see that you gentlemen, you want something that makes you look, you are a dad, but you still want to have that, that cool look guy. And you, madam, you need the safety for your car. So that's the station wagon that you need. Yeah. And then they will
As
say,
long as it's not a Porsche DB something on the Autobahn that just goes boom all the way.
no, but it's very funny. We recently had to change one of our cars, right? So rationally, again, with my wife, we listed what we need. We need it to be an SUV because we are tall people. We like to be we like to have space. We like to sit high. We need at least 5 seats, and from time to time 7 because we have the kids with friends and so on, the family. We need a huge boot because we carry so much crap for the horses and so on. La la la. We need all that. So rationally, there are not that many cars that do that. So we had a list of cars. And in Europe, we love diesel engines, because it's supposedly cheap. So we checked at those cars that were matching, that there was one brand having that one. We even went to test a used one, a second-hand one with a diesel engine. Nice car. It matched well. But then I said, okay, let me look if we can import something from Germany, because the Germans, prices are a little bit lower, and they have always cars with over-featured cars. And I found one, and I found it fun. So I showed it to my wife, and she said, wow, that's a gorgeous car. Yeah, we should. I showed it to my youngest son, who said, shit, there is a lot of electronics in there. I love it. I showed it to my oldest son, who said, wow, the brand and the options on there, that's a great one. Because he has friends whose dads have Nissan GTRs, Ferraris, and stuff like that. And so we have a very high-end SUV, Mercedes SUV, a used one, but with a very powerful engine and with a Brabus body kit. Brabus is one of those brands that make extensively sporty cars.
Yes.
So that's what triggered the decision. So you see, everyone, and my second son, he was more about the comfort and the cool look of the car. And my decision was, I now have a car that has close to 400 horsepower, and I look like an asshole when I drive around.
I know, Brabus, and yeah.
None of the 5 decisions was a rational one. That was very funny. So we bought that car. We should have bought the same thing, but with a diesel engine. It's not making, it has the same seats. It's the same body. I cannot drive it faster anyway because we're living in France. But still, we have that demented thing now. And yeah, and each time we go in the parking house,
I know, I can imagine. And
we make noise.
I can imagine. Do you ever put your head out so you can feel, oh, okay, you've already mentioned.
Yeah, of course. Each time we go in the tunnel, we open the windows, And you should see, you're in France, the highways, we have tolls everywhere. We have to pay to get on the highway. Before it was a pain. Now it's fun because each time I get my ticket, the little card, then I put on the gas and
you just go.
It's not rational. It's primal.
Absolutely. And one thing that I picked up while you're telling this story, I mean, obviously it's a story about your family and how each individual had a different need and a use case for one particular product, which actually makes sense for so many products that we now have. But I also noticed that your work, while you're working with people, it really emphasizes on making people smile through learning. And we've been doing that while I was learning all of this, and you do that naturally. To tell me why incorporating joy into business strategies is important to you.
Because it makes you human. We are human beings, if I smile, I'm a drug dealer, okay? When I smile, I get a reward shot in my brain. Happiness. It's called endorphin and dopamine. When you smile, your brain rewards itself. When I smile, I make you smile. You get that shot in your brain. Even if you're not smiling, there is a theory called the mirror neurons. Yes. So if I move my hand like I do now, your hand is not moving. But in your brain, your hand movement neurons are lighting up. So if I smile, I make you smile. If you smile, you make other people smile. And after a while, we may make everyone smile, and our children will have a better place to live in. So smiling is easy. It requires even less muscles than making a sad face. So yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's why
I quite
that's my
like.
why. That's why I make what I do. Is I want people to be happy because they learn something and they can use it and they can grow with all the techniques I teach them.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, we've just been laughing throughout, and this is quite a serious sort of topic. And I was looking at it before we started. I was like, "Ooh, we're gonna be talking to some really brainiac, somebody who's knee deep in that." But this has been fun and joyous and things of that nature. Is that why you are described as the happy tribes builder? Because once you get people together, you get them smiling, you get them learning, and obviously from there people can actually collaborate on a whole different
Yeah,
level than when they're trying to just fit into some sort of a structure, which
yeah,
not a lot of people quite enjoy.
yeah, exactly. It's the whole thing. I like to get people together. They learn something. They smile. They're happy. It's a happy tribe. I move to the next one. It's something I need. That's how I'm built. I need to create tribes around me that are happy.
Absolutely. But obviously the reason why this is very important for me is there's the scary part about knowing that you can actually literally solicit a smile from somebody even if they don't want to, because their brain has those mirror neurons you're talking about, and it actually then maybe forces them to think they're enjoying the experience or the encounter, which leaves a lot of people very skeptical about what neuromarketing is possible of doing or achieving, especially if you can subconsciously get somebody to make such decisions that might affect or influence a decision. How do you address concerns
Yeah,
like that?
yeah. You can. It didn't start with neuromarketing. I mean, neuromarketing and now ethical persuasion have the scientific tools to explain how it's working and how you can improve it. But I mean, there were salespeople 50 years ago, 60 years ago, before all that existed, who could have sold sand to a guy in the desert, or ice cream to an Eskimo, as they say, stuff like that. But in fact, they naturally knew how to do it. Now we know scientifically why they are so good. So it helps people who are very good to become excellent, excellent people to know what they are doing, why they are doing it that well, and to take a complete noob to an average level. So that's good. And we have always been manipulated. I mean, look at what's going on in the world currently. I mean, they are playing with fears. They are playing with everything. And if you're a bit smart, you know they are doing it. Okay, then you are called a conspirationist, of course. But let's not go that way. But
I was about to reel it in. I was like, "Hey, Thomas, this is not the podcast for that." But it's quite
no, no, no,
exciting
no,
because
no.
yeah,
It's just saying manipulation exists
yeah.
forever. I mean, there was a bakery in Paris. They
Mm-hmm.
were pushing outside the smell of cooked butter, which is what you get when you eat a croissant. And when you walk in front of that bakery, suddenly you want to eat a croissant.
Oh
That's a
wow.
type of manipulation. Telling you, using urgency, telling you quickly because there are only 2 seats left, that's scarcity, and that offer will stop in 1 hour. That's urgency. That's playing with some of those cognitive biases in the brain. But if
Mm,
you do it to help the person to make the decision, to help that person, then it's ethical. Now it's like everything. I can give you a hammer. With the hammer, you can build a house, but you can also crush the head of someone. It's always the same thing. We are currently
absolutely.
using computers. They allow us to communicate. If I take it now and I throw it on my dog, that's bad. Yeah?
Absolutely.
It's the
The same.
Spider-Man thing. With a huge power comes a huge responsibility. Voila.
Absolutely. It's the same water that could harden an egg. It's the same water that softens a potato. And, it just depends on the use case of it all. So,
Exactly.
but,
Exactly.
but, now you just got me thinking of Kartoffel and Apfel and alles.
And we are back to Germany, you see.
Yeah. But I think it's quite important to understand brain science as a business person, because once you have this intricate understanding, then you have a way of maybe getting people to accept your offers, getting people to accept your cause, and rally behind whatever it is that you are doing. You did mention selling ice to an Eskimo. I once discovered that Eskimos actually have over 50 words of explaining what ice is. So some ice they can use for an igloo, some ice they use to eat, some ice they use for various other conditions. So if you go to a region where they probably don't have ice for water, you literally can sell them that type of ice.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. That's a very point.
It's just one of those things.
But then you have to find again that subconscious frustration in there. In that case, it's an easy one. It's survival. That's the easiest one.
Absolutely. No, congratulations. You've recently become a 10x business coach with Grant Cardone, one of the biggest salespeople that I know in this market, this century or this generation. How does this role now integrate with what you're doing, your mission, and also how you really want to foster, the use of ethical persuasion, especially in the business front?
But in fact, it's a nice combination because you get the guy who has the best sales and marketing techniques existing, and you merge that with the science behind it, which is ethical persuasion. So that's the best combo possible for my clients. I'm also, as I told you before, I'm a 10x performance business coach, which means I'm coaching Grant's clients directly. So we are only 37 in the world able to do that, authorized to do that. But it's there to help people grow, and it's super exciting. And adding into that the science behind everything that's working, it makes their life so easier. On the understanding side, they still have a lot of work to do. But I think one very important point is that whatever the technique you are using, everything is a marathon, Yeah. It's not a sprint. We are so used with the tools we have that on one click, we can buy a car, we can buy a house, we can buy this. But that's when you interact with human beings. If it's too fast, it's wrong. If they make a decision too quickly, it's wrong. Something's wrong. You are not who they want to buy from. They just want to get rid of you. So it takes time. Being an entrepreneur is a bloody nightmare long life experiment, I mean, for those who they know it. For those who are starting, be aware it's going to be a roller coaster. It's being a long roller coaster, right? So use all the techniques you have, but build your brain up there so that it's ready for it.
Absolutely.
I'm getting serious now.
Yeah, no, Thomas, this has been fun, and I really am excited. But I want to ask the audience, the people that are watching right now, if you had all the skills and the tools to ethically persuade people, what would you use them for? I want you to type it in the comments there so that we can see what you would use ethical persuasion for, whether for good or not so good. Now, Thomas, if people want to get in touch with you,
then it's not ethical.
and connect with you and just learn a little bit more from you, what would be the best way that people can do that?
One of the best ways is to get on my website, which is happy-brains.com, or you get me on LinkedIn, Dr. ThomasTrautmann, Happy Brains. So I'm the bald guy with a brain. So there are a few ThomasTrautmanns, but I'm the only one who is bald and has a brain behind him.
Fantastic. I better level up. Then maybe there's going to be two bald guys with at least a bit of a brain that they can use. But Thomas, Dankeschön for everything that you've done for us today. I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below so that people can actually get started on their journey to get more, achieve more, and retain more, because we have this tool that stays with us 24/7, yet we are going out of our way to learn things that are so far away from us when all we need is our own brains and having an understanding of how to utilize them so that we can ethically, persuade others so they too can be and have a happier existence. So I can't thank you enough for pioneering things like this. And also I'm confident and happy that trustworthy people like yourself are at the forefront of this neuromarketing headed, fallen into bad hands, then you never know what other people will be using it all for. So thank you so much for championing the ethical usage of neuromarketing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast, Prosper. I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching right now, thank you so much for choosing the Online Prosperity Show as your source for information and insights. And I encourage you to subscribe to the show so you do not miss out on any of these intriguing conversations that we have. Maybe you could learn a bit of German, or you could actually learn how to ethically persuade your clients so that you can have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Until next time, bye for now.